Don't know what we're fighting for. Give us a gun and send us all off to war. We are the ones who grow up in violent homes. We are the ones who don't know what's right or wrong. I know. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who were born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No more. We are the ones who don't know why we're losing score. Give them a badge so they could send us to the morgue. We are the ones who are scared to walk out the door. We are the ones who don't know what we're dying for. I know. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck now. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No. Get off his fucking neck. The man makes you know he can't fucking breathe. The man makes you know we are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck now. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who are born into war. We are the ones. We are the ones. We are the ones who just don't give a fuck no more. No. We are the ones who.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest episode of I'm No Joke, your home for all things combat sports and the place where every armchair quarterback can feel like Ben Bronco. The views and opinions presented on the I'm No Joke channel belong solely to the person expressing them, no one else. If we say it, that means we meant it. That being said, this show does contain adult themes, adult content, and general shit that you shouldn't be letting your kids intake. Be advised, viewer discretion is recommended. Proceed at your own risk. You've been warned. If it's Sunday, you're probably just as confused as we are why the fuck we're here. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of appropriate ages, to the latest episode of the, what did I say, show? The recap show where we bring you all the juicy tidbits from all the craziness that popped off over the course of the weekend. That's right, folks. We are bringing it back, goddammit. Taking back Sunday, as it were, wink, wink. We are bringing the recap show back, goddammit. We have got so much going on. This is, depending on how you look at it, technically either the last episode of season 6 or the preview sneak teaser episode for season 7, depending on how you look at it. This was the final week of our season 6 series of the show. Next week coming in, we're going to start with season 7. We've got all sorts of new goodies to bring in, all sorts of fun changes to make, but we'll talk more about that when we get to Thursday. This is the What Did I Say show, the show where we hold ourselves accountable for the shit that we talked on Thursday. And the title of the show is just that, for a reason. Not that we were alone in it, but pretty much everyone who follows MMA and UFC specifically, for the most part, kind of wrote this card off. Aside from it being a traditional quote-unquote hangover card, it was a fight night card with not a lot of divisionally relevant or like big championship quality fights on it. It was just kind of one of those fights that we put through to get out of the way, and holy shit, did it turn out to give us a little more than we expected, to say the very least. But before we get too far into that, first and foremost, how the fuck are you doing over there, brother?
Doing pretty good. Hope you're doing good tonight. Hope everybody out there watching is doing fucking good. Last night was definitely fucking exciting. I mean, like we said in the chat last night, it was like card of the year hiding under our nutsack. We didn't even know.
Shit. So, for those who are not aware, last night was the UFC Vegas 59 / Fight Night Santos versus Hill from the Apex. Like we said, on paper, not originally a very particularly standout card, to such an extreme that literally during the last 72 hours, they lost 2 fights from this card, and nobody really batted an eye because it didn't really make that much of a difference either way. I guess we can actually talk about those 2 fights real quick before we get into the recap itself. So the first fight, the Ariani Lipski versus Priscilla Cashwera fight, originally there was controversy with the weigh-ins. I believe it was Lipski who was hospitalized after she did make weight, but just barely and looked rough. I think she made weight on her second attempt, and it might have actually been too late. I think the official turn-in for her weight might have actually been an overcall on it. But either way, right after weigh-in, she got taken to the hospital because it was so fucking rough on her. So the UFC actually just bumped that fight up to next weekend over on UFC San Diego. Good for them. I'm still not sure, because they haven't said either way how that's going to work with because she did officially miss weight, I guess. Yeah, that's right. So she did officially miss weight and was announced that she was going to get fined 20% of her purse, and then she was hospitalized. That's what it was. Then she got taken to the hospital, and then they moved the fight officially to next week. So that was what I was getting background about too. She did officially miss weight on the scale before the fight was moved. So does that mean that they're both still going to get their show money for weighing in, and she has to give up 20% of her show money to Cashwera, and then they start all over again next week?
I mean, if I was the company myself, I wouldn't have paid them anything knowing that I'm going to fight them next week, but I wouldn't have taken anything away. I guess it would have, just the situation, in my opinion, obviously we don't really know, but in my opinion, it should have been like a null and void. Like, once she's taken to the hospital after the missing weight and you actually have to move the fight back, maybe null and void it. And then if she makes weight next week, I don't know.
Right. Well, traditionally speaking, how they do it is, and that's part of the reason for the whole quote unquote backup fighter situation that they do sometimes for like title fights or big events. When they have a backup fighter, if you show up and weigh in, even if you aren't actually in the fight because both of the other people are eligible and make weight and shit, you still get paid your show money just for stepping on the scale. Technically, they both stepped on the scale. So I'm wondering if they're going to give them their show money and then, just call what happened with the fucking hospitalization a wipe and then start all over again next weekend. But even then, they got paid show money, and technically she missed weight. So I'm wondering, is Priscilla Cashwera going to catch that 20% purse from the show money from Vegas before they head out to San Diego this weekend? Kind of interesting. It's not, it's not something that I would advocate for, but I mean, at the same time, if I signed a contract to fight you and you missed weight and I didn't, and then they set us up to do it again the next week, I'm getting my fucking show money. I weighed in, motherfucker. I did what I was supposed to do. And technically, you didn't weigh in. So I get 20% of your show money. I would, if I was Priscilla Cashwera, I would be losing my fucking mind right now.
Maybe in my
20%.
opinion, like I was saying, maybe the fair way, like maybe Dana White, just to be nice, gave Cashwera her show money, and then just kind of said, I'm not going to give anything to Lipski until next week. And it's like, if you make weight next week, then you'll get your show money, and I just won't take anything
that
away
I think
from
actually probably would work. I'm betting based on what we've seen of Cashwera's personality previously that she's probably still not going to be okay with that. She's going to want all that money. And look, I get that as well. But I think that would probably be the most amicable thing to do. Be like, give Cashwera her show money, nothing for Lipski, and then we call it a wash. Start from scratch in San Diego. No, I think that would probably be the best way to do it.
At least with the other fight we're going to talk about that got pulled, we know a little bit more about that. Like after yesterday.
No, that's the rough one though. Is that I guess you could say to a certain extent that this situation could have been avoided, but we still don't know the full extent of what exactly caused Lipski to come in off weight or not be able to hit weight rather. So there's still part to that story, but it's a little more understandable, I think, would be the way to put that. But the second fight, the Josh Quinlan fight, so I didn't even realize until I was reminded yesterday while they were talking about it. Josh Quinlan, his fight coming off of the Contender Series was actually reverted to a no contest because he tested positive for pseudo-testosterone. Took his suspension, turned the fight to a no contest, and then served his time, paid his fines and whatnot, and the UFC apparently brought him back, and they kind of just pushed that aside and swept it under the rug a little bit and tried to play it off. Well, turns out last minute, right after they had announced the Lipski versus Cashwera fight was getting moved, they actually announced that the Quinlan fight was also going to be moved to San Diego as well. Cool, no big deal. Making sure San Diego stacked. I get it. Then the broadcast starts last night to open up Vegas 59, and we come to find out. I heard a rumor about an hour and a half before that I had shared with these guys that was actually confirmed for me on the broadcast, which I'll fucking dust that shoulder off there. I have in writing that I had words like an hour and a half, 2 hours before it was officially announced. So my source was correct there. That was nice to fucking do. But turns out that the Quinlan fight is no longer going to be taking place on the San Diego card, and it did not take place last night in Vegas. It is actually completely off right now. Josh Quinlan has been deemed ineligible for contest at the moment because he tested positive in an out-of-competition sample just before this match for, I believe I've got the acronym correct here. It's DHCEA. Is the metabolite they found?
I think it's DHCMT is what they said, or something like that. It's one of those.
One of them is the actual chemical. The other one is the metabolite.
But they call it the M3 metabolite. It's like the same shit that
it's
John Jones got popped.
Yeah, we're basically in a picogram situation here. We're basically having the same thing.
Things have developed a little more. So we're in a wait and see period for this week. Actually, like they haven't suspended him. Because
technically it could all be
was
clear,
under that threshold on it.
Yeah.
It was under that 100 picogram threshold on this M3 metabolite. So they had to pull him on this fight. And they have said they're going to move the fight to San Diego, which the guy that oversees the USADA dealings and everything for UFC, he did a little press conference yesterday. That's where I got this like extra bit of news on the situation. That it's like a wait and see. They have to, because USADA's going back through all of his other tests, since his suspension when they popped him on the other steroid. They got to go back just to see if there's any, like signals that he might have potentially taken, like that oral steroid that would pop up the M3 metabolite, or if it's just that thing like John Jones, it just pops up every now and again. And so it's like, apparently they're doing that review. Like the commission I heard is going to review things in Nevada, no matter what, right? He can't fight Nevada for the next 6 months. From
Right.
what I've heard, because of yesterday, he got popped on that. So now he's got to be in the testing pool and be tested like a couple times every month or so for the next 6 months.
I think it's 3 times every 4 weeks. You have to be tested in a minimum of 3 times every 4 weeks while you're technically on like the unofficial double secret probation.
Yeah, if it doesn't pop back up, as long as he stays under the 100 picogram threshold again for the next 6 months in Nevada, then he can fight Nevada. But because of the rules, I guess, in California, everything's a little different. If nothing comes back, just signaling to USADA in the past 14 tests or whatever that he potentially took the shit, right? Then I guess they're going to let him fight next week. So it's still wait and see. I think it's weird. It's really fucking. Right. We'll really find out in the middle of this week if they're actually going to let him fight in San Diego or not.
Yeah. No, that's a weird situation.
Apparently he won't be getting suspended. He hasn't gotten any sort of, they didn't pop him for a violation. He hasn't gotten any sort of disciplinary actions. It's just he's now got to go through more extensive testing in the Nevada commission for the next 6 months before he can fight in the state of Nevada. So it's a very fucked up situation, all of it. But he might actually be able to make his UFC debut next week, even with all this shit. And that's where I think it's even fucking crazier. Hearing that last night, it's like if they go back through the other tests since his fucking suspension and they don't see anything, nothing causes them suspicion, and they're going to let him fight in San Diego next week. So that'll be crazy.
It's such a whole weird fucking gray area because, on one side, I get trying to give them the benefit of the doubt, but on the other side, the only way to get in this scenario to begin with is at some point you took steroids.
Yeah.
Period. And, doesn't matter if you took them 3 years ago, took them 10 years ago.
That I said
steroids. That's how the post happens.
That's why they're going back through his past 15 test samples and stuff. And if there's nothing that signals up, then that's what they're going to believe is that the shit that he took,
a long time
when
ago
he fought on the Contender Series and got popped, there was some other bullshit mixed in with that. That's why the M3 metabolites popping up now, like it did with John Jones and a handful of other fighters in the UFC. Because once you fucking take that shit, apparently just every so often it will pop up, and if it pops up, they have to go about that way of things. They have to pull your fight, and then they have to go through the extensive testing, even if they know you took it well off a long time ago. They got to make sure you're not still, which is good. It's good that they're on the up and up. They're always trying to make sure that the sport's fair. Nobody's using performance enhancing substances. But the thing that's crazy is the difference from one state to another in their rules. And California is not as strict as Nevada with the shit.
Couple hundred miles away. Yeah.
Apparently that's the other bit of it, right? They're going back through his other the past 15 test samples, and then they're testing him again this week.
Yep.
So if he doesn't come up for it when they test him this week, and nothing signals in the test that he's going to get in a fight in San Diego, and that's, I guess I'm okay with it after hearing about the situation a little bit, but it's still, I never fully fucking can put myself behind a fighter once they cheated before, and you can't feel sorry for them when they're going through some shit like this because you fucked up, you made that stupid fucking decision.
Yep. Yeah, because this isn't the situation, and that's the thing. That's the part that gets me the most, is that this isn't a situation that you have if you break your fucking ankle and the doctor gives you some fucking corticosteroid over the counter or some fucking, some prescription pill regimented fucking steroids for the healing process. You'll never fucking pop hot for that shit.
Yeah, I can't remember the guy's name, right? That he hands out the jackets for the people that, the come clean 50 tests or whatever. He was the dude that did the press conference about the situation.
He said, the golden snitch.
Yeah, he fucking was saying that this drug, whatever they would take that would give them free metabolite to stay in their system, it is so uncommon to find. You can't get it over the counter at any drugstore. You couldn't even get it from your doctor, prescribed to you.
Yeah, you have to specifically
get it
go
from the black
it.
market, pretty much. Yeah. That's the only real way to get it. It's not easy to even get it from that illegal aspect.
Yeah,
He
even on
was
the
saying
sketchy
that.
side, it's still tough. So
Yeah, he was saying it's
yeah.
really hard to get this. So yeah,
It's a definite, definitive, like conscious fucking choice. Whether you, and
Yeah.
again, whether you did it 10 fucking years ago or 10 months ago, that's a conscious choice that you made to go after and fucking take steroids. So
and even more
I
so, the
can't feel
conscious
bad when
decision they're going after the uncommon shit because in their head they're not going to
yeah,
get caught for
because
it.
they don't think they'll find it. Well, so now you're not only cheating, you're trying to be sneaky about cheating. So you're willingly cheating and trying to be deceptive about it even more. Like, I can't feel bad for a dude who pulses, because that means you fucking cheated at some point. Whether you got caught for it or not, the pulse told on you. You snitched on yourself, dude. So honestly, at this point, I could care less whether he gets to fight in San Diego or not. I'm not fucking rooting for him. If he does get to fight in
Yeah, I
San
just think
Diego,
it'll be
I'm
a
hoping he
fun
gets
thing
his
to
ass
keep an eye on this week. But yeah, I won't shed a tear or be sad at all if they wind up saying no, we're not going to let you fight in San Diego either.
Yeah,
But
it won't break my fucking heart for sure, man. I can't
it'll
feel
be a
bad for
crazy
him.
story if they do wind up letting them fight, just because it's
Right.
like, damn.
Yeah, that could make
Can't fight
everything really
Nevada for
fucking
the next
crazy.
6 months after that, but now you just let's just throw them over to the next state.
Right,
Get
yeah,
it
just
on.
bump him over a couple hundred miles that way and we can just put this thing back on reset. Fuck.
That's the shit like we were talking about yesterday. That's the crap that kind of pisses me off about the UFC. They're a professional enough sporting company and business at this point. They should kind of snip that shit in the bud. Like TJ Dillashaw and John Jones. I don't think they should be fucking promoting them the way they still are nowadays, just because they are. They're cheaters. Like,
the fact that the UFC endorsed TJ Dillashaw's juice company called Clean Juice 6 months after he got suspended for using steroids and admitting it. No, UFC being hypocritical? Couldn't think of an incident where they might have done that. Oh, but that being said, it's gonna come out one way or another. So I'm just gonna throw it right out there in the beginning for anybody who did not hear about the insanity that was last night's card. Last night set a record, being the second time in the 30-year history of the UFC as an organization that every single fight, top to fucking bottom of the card, ended with a finish. Knockout, stoppage, submission, something. Every single fucking fight on that card ended with a finish. This is one of those situations where I titled the show what I did for a reason, because sometimes, like I say, I'm more than happy to be wrong. And this is one of those times, because like I said, I fully acknowledge that I shit all over this card and had very, very little hope of any entertainment going into it, because so did the rest of the world who's been paying attention to everyone who's on the fucking card. Little did we know, they apparently had a fucking meeting before the fucking event started and decided that they were going to make us all look stupid. As Boris Johnson said, sometimes them's the breaks. Well, it started right out of the gate. And just to let you know what kind of card, like we were talking about it in the group chat, we knew within 2 minutes of this card starting exactly what kind of night we were in for, because a minute in to the Mayra Bueno Silva versus Stephanie Egger fight, Mayra Bueno Silva has got her on the ground in a big fucking problem, grabs that arm, stretches it out, and then wait, what? She let go, and there was immediate controversy because she said Stephanie Egger tapped. So being a good sport, she let go of it. Stephanie Egger was rolled over, so we couldn't see that she had tapped. And the referee was even on the other side of the octagon, so he couldn't have seen it if he wanted to. So everyone was very confused for a minute, because when the referee turned to Stephanie Egger and said, "Did you tap?" she said nothing. She didn't say yes. She didn't say no. She kept her fucking mouth shut and just started looking around. Mayra Bueno Silva insisted she tapped. That's why I let go. She tapped. Well, luckily for us, we were in Las Vegas, where we've got 3,000 high-definition cameras and instant replay. Well, they brought up instant replay. They started looking around. There was not a clear angle that was available to the audience, but luckily, the three judges sitting cage side had clear views, at least two of them did, from the situation unfolding in front of them. Herb Dean being one of the three sitting cage side who gave his opinion and was looking directly at the action. He and one of the judges both said 100% for certain they could see the tap happen, despite Eggers trying to play it off. So there was confirmation. Bueno Silva did get her fucking arm in a serious problem. Eggers knew it. Eggers tapped and then tried to play it off because she never officially admitted to tapping. She just never denied that she tapped. This isn't one of those situations where keeping your fucking mouth shut can save you. We have 300 cameras in 4K and slow-mo with 6 individual humans watching what happens, specifically in case shit like this popped off. Luckily, it all ended the way that it should have, and they ended up giving the submission victory to Bueno Silva. I will say I was a little bit surprised that after all of that bullshit, Stephanie Eggers still had the balls to try to walk over to Mayra Bueno Silva afterwards and shake her hand. Mayra Bueno Silva went, no, and walked away. And I don't blame her a bit. Normally, that's not cool. Normally, you shake hands when that match is done. In this situation, no. I agree 100%. Fuck you, you shady cunt. You go the fuck on. I'm not shaking your goddamn hand. Get the fuck on out of here. I agree 100% with that. Right out of the gate, just fuckery afoot. Now, luckily, we didn't have to wait much longer before we started some of the several different records that were set or broken Saturday evening. 4 minutes and 3 seconds later, to be precise, is we had to wait before Corey McKenna, despite having a 10-inch reach disadvantage and a 5-inch height disadvantage to Miranda Granger, had her fucking number from the opening bell. And when Corey McKenna took that ass to the ground in round 2, she managed to secure the first ever in the UFC female Von Flue choke submission. And it was very nice. It was locked in. It was very fucking clean. It was one of those everyone watching kind of lost their shit a little bit. Popcorn got spilled, like drinks were knocked over. This was that moment right out of the fucking gate where everybody was like, oh, fuck. Yeah. Corey McKenna, the youngest fighter on the UFC roster right now, secures the first female Von Flue choke in UFC history. And well earned at that.
And then the UFC biffed her out on 50K. And then Michael Bisping fucking, he shorted her up on the
yeah, she went to go fucking fist bump Bisping in her fucking post-fight interview, and he just walked off and left her hanging. We were laughing about that in our group chat.
Yeah, I looked right at Vince and I'm like, what the fuck was that, Michael Bisping?
Yeah, just left her hanging and walked up. Well, now, to be fair, I did not pay attention whether that was the side where he actually has an eyeball there or not. She might have been trying to fist bump him on the side where he doesn't have a vision receptacle.
He saw the fist bump, right? And instead of fist bumping back, he puts his fucking hand up like as if it was a high five or he's going to shake her hand. And then he realizes, oh, what the fuck am I doing? And then just kind of like freezes back.
That's what I'm saying. I'm wondering if he didn't see it initially coming at him. And then by the time he saw what was happening and had already reached out, it was too fucking late.
But at least after she got her interview and he shook her fucking hand after.
He actually shook her hand.
So I was like, okay, you made up for it. But fucking come on, right?
Yeah, no.
Man, I heard not.
Bisping had his awkward grandpa moment.
After that shit. Come on.
Yeah, he had his awkward grandpa moment for damn sure. So that being said, she's a little fucking powerhouse. It's going to be real interesting to see where McKenna goes from here as well. Moving on from there, another very interesting and very short-lived match on this holy shit of a card. Brian Pooh Bear Battle, Ultimate Fighter 29 winner, making his welterweight debut despite winning just the last Ultimate Fighter at middleweight, making his welterweight debut last night against Takashi Sato. I and the vast majority of the MMA journalists out there were kind of wondering how this was going to play out, if Battle was really going to be able to implement his wrestling, which is a strong part of his game, at welterweight as confidently and as effectively as he's able to do at middleweight. Unfortunately, we're going to have to keep on wondering, because there didn't get to be a fucking split second of it. 40, I think it was like 40-ish on the nut seconds into the fight, he throws a head kick from hell that just nailed Sato right on the side of the fucking head and dropped him to the fucking canvas, where he pounced and got the immediate fucking finish. They called it 44 seconds, all said and done with the fucking stoppage. But man,
the craziest part of it for me, man, before it was like a combo. He caught him with the jab, and then right after he throws the jab, he threw that kick up. So that jab, it catches Sato, and that's what made Sato drop his fucking hands. So then that kick, boom, flush. Oh my God. Like, that was clever. I know he's got a lot of fucking work, but I was like, that was some never expected Brian Battle to fucking like come out with some striking.
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
Put a dude out.
And the funny thing is, it's not even like it's not one of those things that it's not even like anybody thought he wasn't capable of that. It's just that that's generally not his style. Like, that's not how he comes out in the first 40 seconds of a fight, winging fucking head kicks and shit. So yeah, it was very interesting to see indeed. What I will say though, is that if he is going to make welterweight his new home, he has got to change his fucking diet. That man looked like a skeleton on the fucking scales weighing in. 170 is not friendly for his fucking frame the way things stand right now. So if he's going to stay down there and play at welterweight, he has got to change his fucking diet, and he has got to change the way his fucking frame is naturally carried. And being a tall, lanky dude, he doesn't have a lot of room to move.
Last night, like, we're sitting here, and Vincent's like, damn, his skin's like really fucking floppy. Like, what the hell? I told him about that. I was like, he didn't have a good weight cut, man. He didn't hydrate back up well and shit. But I mean, he got lucky with that. He might have fucking had a tough time if we actually got to see that little wrestling. I was going to say that, that
actually,
out a little bit just because
he did say it. That actually saved him.
Press conference afterwards, he said it was kind of a tough weight cut for him, but he also said that he likes being at welterweight.
He enjoys it.
He did at least say you got it on the nose, and he said he's going to try to work on it, right? So he knows he needs to work on his diet more. At least that's the difference between him and like a Paddy Pimblett. It seems like Brian is trying to get better and take things seriously, where some people, like Sean O'Malley or Paddy Pimblett, they're good fighters. And they got the hype behind them, but I'd love to see them take shit a little more serious in a lot of ways.
No, we saw this exact situation with the middleweight back to welterweight drop just a couple months ago with Kevin Holland. Yeah. And Kevin Holland, we saw look spectacular at middleweight, but he said himself, I don't have to do shit to be a middleweight, and it lets me be lazy, and it affects my game. To be at welterweight, it's not hard, but it requires the discipline that I have to put in to keep myself lean enough to be able to make and move at welterweight the way that I like to move at middleweight. So that's why Kevin Holland said he prefers to be down at middleweight because it makes him hold himself accountable, but he also gets the same performance from his welterweight frame that he did at middleweight. So if Battle can get his shit dialed in and get it done right, there's a couple dudes that it seems like, and I get that historically speaking, that's generally what Ultimate Fighter contestants do, is they'll enter for the weight class above theirs, so the weight cut for 6 weeks straight isn't as hard on them as it normally would be, and that way if they make it through, once they get their contract, then they've got the UFC PI and all the other resources to help them cut down to their natural or their quote unquote, you know, preferred weight. But it seems like Ryan Battle might be the latest one to have done exactly that. He won the Ultimate Fighter looking pretty goddamn good, honestly, at fucking middleweight. And he fought very competently, clearly, last night at welterweight. So if he can get things dialed in and be able to make that consistently and perform the way he was able to previously at welterweight now, there could be a couple of those dudes who are making their way down. Instead of not cutting weight, they're cutting to where they're used to being and changing the game, going backwards a little bit, shaking welterweight up. So I'm here for it, man. I'm fucking here for it. As long as he does it right, I'm cool with it. That being said, oh, wait, no, I forgot. There is a silver lining to this. So we got to see last night what is, as of yet, unconfirmed, but prospectively, Sam Alvey's last fight, at least as a UFC fighter, preferably as a fighter, period. But we know at least his UFC contract is up and they are not going to re-sign him. That being said, in running out the end of his UFC contract, he did finally set a record. What did they say? It was 11 fights total. I think it was 11 fights total without winning a round, essentially. He lost 9 in a row, and in his last 11 fights, I don't believe he won consistent rounds. I think he only won in the fights before his streak. But even then, it was not a unanimous decision. It was Lucky Sam more than Smiling Sam. So that being said, Alexa Jacek came out and knew damn well that he had gotten himself an empty Mountain Dew can tossed up in the air, ready to just smack out of the park and look good. And he was not going to fucking waste time doing it. Within the first, I think it was 15 seconds from the opening bell, Alexa Jacek cracked Sam Alvey with a fucking hard right that literally stumbled him backwards. We came to find out after the fact this morning that punch, the very first punch that Alexa Jacek landed, broke Sam Alvey's jaw. He is getting his jaw wired shut tomorrow. He posted on social media this afternoon. The first punch that Alexa Jacek landed on him broke his fucking jaw. And it didn't get better from there. They officially called it a minute 56, but within the first minute of the fight, Sam's entire face was just dripping fucking blood. And every time he got hit, which was a lot for the record, he was fucking flinging fucking blood across the canvas and across the fucking cage as he was just getting slobber knockered. It was very, very apparent that Sam Alvey has some kind of dirt on Dana White. There is no reason whatsoever he should have been allowed not only to go on the streak of losses that he did, but to be allowed to keep getting battered in the Andrei Arlovsky-esque fashion that he was up until the point that they tossed him to Alexa Jacek to send on his fucking merry way. The weirdest thing, I think, is that Mikhail Alexiejczuk came out looking like a fucking stud. He did exactly what he was supposed to do. and he really kind of got zero fucking credit for it. It almost washed the fucking win off his record because of the fact that he beat Sam Alvey so fucking convincingly with legitimate one-way traffic. Like, this was a fucking ass whipping, and it almost didn't give him any fucking credit or anything to really add to his resume because everyone knew this was Sam's last fight, and he just beat the shit out of him. So I really do feel almost worse for Alexejek than I do for Sam Alvey in this situation. That being said, though, I will take a page out of the book of Mike Heck. David Feldman, on the off chance you ever see this video, keep your fucking hands off Sam Alvey. Leave him the fuck alone. Don't offer him a contract. Don't entertain an offer if he tries to contact you. Leave Sam Alvey the fuck alone. Please. That's not what anyone needs to see. That being said, main card. Not taking any fucking chances on letting the prelims one up them, as it were. Fucking huge fucking favorite of the show here, T-Rex Terrence McKinney. I still don't think he has seen a third round in his entire professional career. I know in the UFC he has still not seen beyond a second round, and only then, even then it was only once. But I still don't think he's seen a third round in his whole fucking career. Like, he just keeps getting better. Every time we see him, he's a little bit smoother and a little bit faster as well. And this is one of those situations where nobody came into this fight saying that Eric Gonzalez was a fucking world breaker or that he was going to upset the fucking apple cart and completely derail the hype from T-Rex or anything like that. Gonzalez is just a dude making his fucking debut. McKinney wasn't so far up the list that they're not throwing him debut guys anymore. So they made the matchup. It looked decent on paper. And again, this is one of those cards that despite everything looking great on paper, everything went out the goddamn window when the bell rang. T-Rex, just an absolute fucking monster, was a fucking human backpack, I believe, within the first minute or first minute and a half-ish. Almost got a standing rear naked choke, but ended up bringing that other leg up, but got the fucking rear naked on Gonzalez. 217 is what they call it officially. Just Terrence McKinney is a problem, dude. Terrence McKinney is a big problem because he's a lightweight on a mission, and nothing is slowing him down right now.
I like what he said after the fight, that he wanted to show that he's got that chin, like his chin's not suspect. Because I mean, he was throwing some shots at the beginning,
yeah,
and then Eric Gonzalez fucking rocked him, and that was where he was like, "Oh shit!" He's like, "Okay, now I gotta quit being stupid here," and that was when he fucking went for that takedown, locked him up, backpacked his ass, smoothed over. He knows, like, and he said it after the fight. He's like, I'm better than that. He's like, that's what he learned from the Drew Dober fight. He's like, I was being that like ghetto kid in the backyard, just fucking wanting to have that fist fight with Drew Dober. He's like, I gotta learn. He's like, that's what I learned. It's like, I'm a mixed martial artist, so I gotta like adapt and shit. So when I'm not so good in this one spot, I know I'm better than him in another way. So it was like,
right.
It was cool to fucking hear that, see that. That was the other. Yeah, no, I was hoping he'd get that first round knockout. And then as soon as he got a little rock, no, he just backpacked him. He's like, nope, not fucking happening.
Galti and I both had him for second round, but he was not going to fucking play that long. He was not wasting that much time. No, I absolutely fucking love that Paddy Pimblett call out. Pimblett said he doesn't want ranked guys. He doesn't want to try and jump up the list. He wants to slow roll his career. Terrence McKinney's not a ranked guy. He's right around that same fucking status point. He's not looking to fucking steamroll anybody in the fucking, top 15 to try and jump up there anyways either. So I think it's a great fucking call out, and it could be really goddamn fun.
I think it might actually happen too. It's just with what McKinney was saying last night, he wants to fight like soon. He always wants to fight as soon as he can.
Wants
So
to
he
get
was saying
right back
something
in
about
there.
like Abu Dhabi or Madison Square Garden. He wants to fight Patty in November in Madison Square Garden, but Patty's already said like Dana wants
You
that
know what?
too.
Yeah, you don't
But
like that
he's like,
tax
no, I
money.
don't want the tax man getting my fucking money. He's like, I'm going to Vegas in December. So it's like maybe
Yeah.
if McKinney will wait till December, that'll actually happen. But
Yeah,
I
no,
don't.
there's a possibility of it for sure.
I feel
Now
like
the funny
that's the only thing that would keep them from fighting each other. McKinney does want to stay active. He doesn't want
right,
to
he wants
wait.
to get back in there
So
and step.
I don't think they're necessarily going to give McKinney more money, even though that would, like he said, that would be a big fight. They could put it on a pay-per-view in December, like the
Right.
December pay-per-view. They could put that like a Sean O'Malley thing. That could be the first fight on the main card, but
On
they
the
probably
opener,
wouldn't
yeah.
pay him more or anything like that. So how much more would it be worth it? I don't know. Like McKinney, I think, is already up there above Patty too, so he could
I
crawl
agree.
his way up there farther. That's more of the he just wants to help take down Patty's hype, steal it away from him, kind of thing. If he actually takes that
boost
fight,
himself away from that area. I agree. No, I would be fucking cool with it for damn sure. And then the fact that while he was in the locker room, literally before he had even made it out to the post-fight press conference, he already fucking posted on Instagram and Twitter a picture of himself choking Gonzalez out with the caption "That took too long." Yeah, he had tweeted and posted on Instagram literally while he was warming up and they were announcing his fight. And while he was in the back room afterwards, before he had even come out to do post-fight interviews, he was already posting again. So no, we fucking love McKinney around here. He's a big fucking favorite of the fucking show, and we always fucking love seeing him perform like that for damn sure. So hats the fuck off to T-Rex for sure. I'm gonna be very closely monitoring the potential Patty matchup of fucking Tony, man. That would be fucking matchup of the year for me. That being said though, we did have to wait a little bit longer for our next fight. They weren't trying to go for that first round run them down. Well, I mean they were trying, but they weren't as close to that first round rundown, excuse me, as it were. That being said, the polar bear just absolutely fucking mauled Augusto Sakai. He had his number from the opening fucking bell, and he almost caught him with a submission in the first round. Didn't quite fucking play out, so he just beat the shit out of him in the second round to get the stoppage. They're calling it 3:42 officially into the second when they actually got the stoppage. Again, I think they're adding a couple seconds from the time it actually stopped to the time they're calling the official like timekeeper stopping the clock. I think it was really closer to like 3.5. Like Sakai was fucked. He was absolutely fucked. Sergey had his fucking number from the jump, and it showed. Like that was legitimately one of the better performances we have seen from Sergey Spivak. He's another one of those dudes who took an ass whooping and really took it to heart, not like mentally, but like technique wise. He genuinely started to reevaluate why he was in the situation that he was in, why he lost, and went back to the fucking grindstone and polished himself to fuck up, and has been looking like an absolute stud ever since. Heavyweight's fun again, man. Like we're getting some real interesting dudes at heavyweight again. We got Barnett coming back up. We got a couple of fucking big heavyweight fucking battles coming up in the next couple of weeks to get excited about. Like we're back to a point where heavyweight's getting fun again, and that's just awesome because it doesn't happen often. The big guys can get stale so fucking easily. And even in the UFC, you know, the fucking upper echelon of performance in MMA, even then heavyweight can get real fucking stagnant real easy, and we've got some new blood and some revigorated blood in heavyweight right now, so things are getting fun again. I like it.
Yeah, with all the up and coming guys, and then if John actually makes his debut, Stipe comes back. Oh man, that'd be a childhood dream too. Throw it in the mix. You got all these guys. The Tom Aspinall comes back from injury, and you got Curtis Blades up there, and still got Derek Lewis. All these guys, right? And what if the dream could come true? Brock Lesnar comes back from the WWE. Oh my god, that'd be fucking hilarious.
It's
The boy
stranger
can
things
dream. The boy can dream.
Yeah, no, it's at this point we can't rule out a whole lot because fucking weird shit happens left and right every time we think it's not gonna in the UFC lately.
I still only hope for that because of the fact he's still like performing with the WWE. Like,
Right, yeah, and we know he's
and
still active.
we've got people like fucking Glover Teixeira winning the fucking title at 40 fucking 1, right? So it's like, come on. And, just like we were talking about last week, you know, Kat Zingano and fucking Rousey. Well, you were trying to coax us into it, then we talked about it after the fact. Stupidly didn't fucking actually get to
it. Yeah, no, it's same fucking thing, man. Same vein. So that being said, that will bring us to the first of the pair of Ultimate Fighter winners that were crowned last night in UFC Vegas. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Neither one of them were terribly fucking exciting. Neither contestant in either fight were terribly exciting, if we're being 100% honest here. The rivalry with Brogan Walker and Juliana Miller coming out of the Tough House, I get, like, there was legitimate, at least from appearance sake, rivalry or tension built up between the two of them. There was no fucking love lost when the bell rang, that's for damn sure. I think my biggest issue with the whole thing was that when they actually called the stoppage in the third round, they're calling, what is it, 3:57 of the third round, like, we were pushing it close to the end there. But when they actually when the referee actually did step in and stop the fight, Miller stood up and DX chopped Brogan Walker like she had been dominating the entire fight. Like it wasn't a boring fucking mirror image of Olive Oil from the fucking 60s cartoons trying to fight each other for entertainment's sake.
Well, when you, like I was telling you last night, man, I know you're right. It wasn't the most exciting fight in the world, but this is where it surprised me, right? She had 3 pro fights, and Brogan Walker
Right.
had 10. And Brogan Walker had beat Aaron Blanchfield and Miranda Maverick, 2 chicks that are already in the UFC. So this is a chick that, right, should have already been in the UFC. And Juliana Miller just made her look like dog shit. Like, she didn't
really
look
didn't
great, but she made Brogan Walker look like dog shit. She was just able to manhandle her. You take her down with ease, hold her down to the ground like it was nothing. And like you said, that was where it was boring. Juliana, I feel like she's got some decent striking, and there just wasn't a lot of that. And it was, yeah, like get her down to the ground, hold her down there, and then she caught her with a few elbows. That's where we got that damage. Like, she messed up Brogan's eye. So there was some shit that I loved the fucking. I mean, yeah, you're right. She didn't dominate like in the way you want, but that was great. That was fucking hilarious. The fucking DX chop, push her in the fucking face. I was like, I just love that girl's personality, and 4 fucking pro fights to show like she's got a lot to work on, but to show that you can take a chick that could have already been in the UFC and she's got the experience that she had. Like, she showed experience doesn't necessarily mean much. And fucking, I don't know whether it's the heart or she's got some talent. It might have been more the heart, and we'll see if she's got some talent, you know. But that's where the excitement came to me. It's like, this chick's only fucking fought. This is 4th fight, and you're doing this to a chick that should have already been in the UFC. That's the impression. It's like no dominance. You're right. You got it all right, but it's as well, like I told you last night, I got a little thing for her, right? She's 26, just like me.
Right.
She's not too bad looking. So it's
I
got my personal reasons.
and that is totally understandable and totally acceptable.
It's exciting to see a chance of some prospect, right? Like the whole Ultimate Fighter season, I'll admit, it was really boring. And I'm like, God damn it, there's no real point to this. It doesn't matter who the fuck wins these. That's how I felt going into this week. And then at least the 2 winners showed me there's a little inkling. There's an inkling. They could do something. They could.
Right.
They got a hell of a lot of work. But
that's why I said in the chat, though, I get it. And look, I don't want it to be misconstrued. Excuse me. I'm not trying to take away. I'm a firm believer that the Tough House is a much more effective and more realistic test of a fighter's potential than the Contender Series is. That's why I advocate that if we're going to give the Contender Series people contracts immediately, they should have to go through the tough house to get there. But
yeah, because it's a tournament style. Like that's the
yeah,
biggest
so
reason.
I'm not trying to take away the fact that Walker and Miller made it to the finals. That fact alone, you know, hey, I'll tip my fucking cap to both of them fucking ladies. That being said, though, all the sugar coating aside, Emo Rose uses one of them like a dildo to fuck the other one any day of the week.
And I don't think they're going to give Juliana, like with these next few fights, I don't think they're going to give her anybody special for a while, because I think they're going to want to build up on her 100% finish rate. You know, now that she did win that, she got the 100% finish rate off a few fights. They're going to want to throw her a few cans to try to keep building that excitement. So when they finally give her a decent fight, then they can, you know, make it a little bit bigger of a thing. Because she does have the personality a little bit. She doesn't seem like the brightest.
There was something there in the little build-up videos for sure. Yeah, no, it's one of those situations where I just feel like they're overinflating the egos of the up-and-coming fighters too much, and it's coming from the UFC directly. Dana's got a definite hand in it for sure. The UFC themselves are overhyping and overinflating the egos of these literal brand fucking new fighters. Like you said, this is her third fucking pro fight. Like, there's no reason she should have gotten that much hype and fanfare off winning her third fight. I don't give a fuck if it was against Muhammad Ali. It's your third fight. Pumped and brakes a little bit. So I get it. It's not all her fault, but we'll see. We'll definitely see what they do going forward with her. That being said, bringing us over to the other side of the other side of the coin, as it were, on the pair of Ultimate Fighter winners, the men's heavyweights, Zach Puga versus Mohammed Usman. This one, I think, pisses me off more than the Miller versus Walker fight. In the Miller versus Walker fight, you could tell pretty much from the opening bell that despite the difference in experience, Miller was the better of the two fighters. And it was just a matter of time before she got the opening to prove that, or wrote it out to the decision, and then the judges could display that entirety and make the decision. It was clear from the beginning that Miller had the advantage as a fighter. It was just going to be, could Walker change the game up? And she couldn't. So it went that way. In the fellas fight, it was quite the opposite. From the opening bell, Zach Puga had Mohammed Usman's fucking number, and he was peppering him with fucking jabs. He was stepping out, and he was using fucking footwork for a big man. That was very fucking impressive. His football skills were on full fucking display. And then, because that's the way that the MMA gods do sometimes, despite what logic and historical empirical evidence would lead you to think would be the conclusion, 36 seconds into round two, Mohammed Usman lands the one single good punch he threw in the entire goddamn fight. And it just so happened to be a fucking left hook that caught Zach right on the fucking corner of his temple and his orbital bone there, and dropped him to the fucking... Oh, no, I take that back. We agreed on this. He did land two good punches. He landed that left that dropped Zach, and then the subsequent hammer fist that you could tell wasn't needed because Zach was already out when he hit the ground before the referee got to him. The quote-unquote super necessary punch. So, yeah, of the entire 3 minutes and 36 seconds that fight took, two good punches were landed by Usman, and one of them was the one that dropped him, and the other one was the late punch he didn't need to fucking throw to begin with. Zach had that motherfucker ragdolled the whole time. And again, this was a very shiny walrus slap fight. This wasn't a fucking top tier fucking world-class MMA battle unto itself. This was a couple of very rookie-ish walruses slap fighting in a very shiny cage. But again, this was one of those situations where from the get-go, you could tell that Zach was the better fighter of the two. Unlike Brogan, though, Muhammad managed to find the way to turn that fight around. It just so happened to be in a lucky left punch that changed Zach's fucking zip code in an instant, but he managed to turn it around. And now we will never hear the end of Kamaru Usman, because he and his brother were the first brothers in UFC history to both win the Ultimate Fighter. If you thought Kamaru's ego was bad before he got Black Panther 2, we're going to have to make some doorways wider in the UFC PI, I think. Oof.
He might be humbled real soon, though. We know that. If everything goes well in the next couple of months, I don't think Leon's going to humble him, right? The next couple of weeks. But next month when we get Nate and Hamzat, if Hamzat does what we think he's going to do, then that's the guy that humbles us from Kamaru Usman, right? Yeah. And then he's going to go humble Israel Adesanya.
I was gonna say there's a couple different options. There's a couple of contenders that are within reaching grasp of that fucking shot against him, or if he really thinks he's gonna step up and go play with fucking Izzy after Izzy and Alex do their dance in fucking Madison Square. I don't know. There's definitely some fucking ego checks on the horizon, but they're just that. They're on the fucking horizon. So the meanwhile, it's going to get a little bit unbearable. I'm telling you right fucking now. That being said, again, these gentlemen both made their way through the fucking house. They made it to the fucking finals. So I will absolutely tip my fucking cap. I am 100% confident that the Tough House is more difficult on a fighter than the Contender Series. So if you make it through and you make it to the finals, win, lose, or draw, I'll tip my fucking cap to you. So I will give him that. That being said, don't try and tell me for a split second that Usman had that game planned. That was the luckiest fucking thing ever.
Yep. That was the puncher's chance situation. But, I mean, I did appreciate that after the fact, fucking Francis Ngannou showed him some love. So, I mean, Francis Ngannou tweeted out, tonight, a new contender in the heavyweight was born. Right. I don't want no part of. He was like, I don't want no business with this man. I think that was a joke more than he's like actually afraid of Mo. I think it's just the respect he's got for Kamaru. It's like he looks at Mo as a brother, just like he looks at Kamaru as a brother.
And it gives him an extra. It gives him an extra jab in the ribs at Dana White, because he's like, hey, look at this other giant potential 2 African champion fights you could be making in the heavyweight division, but you got to cash me that fucking check, Dana. They posted the video this week. He went and actually saw Deontay Wilder training, the guy whose paycheck he literally told Dana he wants to emulate. Like, Francis is definitely playing his negotiating cards a little more out in the open these days. He's not playing so close to the fucking chest anymore. That being said, though, that will bring us to the co-main event of the evening. This one was a little bittersweet to watch. We talked about it a little bit in our group chat. This fight to me felt more like Luque waiting to land a counter, because it felt, at least to me, like he had suspect on Jeff Neal's chin. And the way that he was fighting led me to believe that he thought that he could get that counter right to shut the fucking lights off. And he started eating shot after shot, playing real loose and sloppy, putting himself in a lot of bad situations to try and open up the window for that counter right. Because in his defense, Vicente Luque's counter right can shut the lights off on anybody in that fucking division if he catches you with it right. The problem was he wasn't catching Jeff Neal with it right, and he wasn't adjusting to make it land right. And in playing that same thing over and over game, Neal started to see the openings and started to take advantage of it. It felt more like Vicente Luque being stuck in the mud than it did Jeff Neal really excelling. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that Jeff Neal looked terrible by any stretch of the imaginations. I just feel like he's getting a little bit more credit than he might deserve on account of the aesthetics of the fight, because he was more active. He landed more shots. He got more damage. He got the stoppage. He won the fight. But as they say, numbers don't tell the whole story. This was, to me, a situation, if you go back and watch, Vicente Luque was almost befuddled by this lack of ability to get that counter right off. And he would eat a shot and he looked like he was confused. Like, wait, that's not how that's supposed to work. And he would put himself in a different position and he would come back and he would go to throw the counter and Neil would step off. And you could see it was like visibly rattling his brain, and he couldn't make the next logical step to keep the game plan evolving, or to keep that right hook that he wanted to throw in a place where it would work if he threw it. And it was only a matter of time before Jeff Neal finally pinned him against the cage, hit him with 8 fucking unanswered uppercuts in a row through the fucking guard, and then Vicente literally crumbled to the fucking canvas in front of him. There's no doubt that Jeff Neal has good boxing, and he's got legitimate fucking power, and he's got good fight IQ. But this is one of those situations where I feel genuinely like it was more about Luque failing to act or not adjusting his actions than it was about what Jeff Neal was doing. Jeff Neal won. He beat the shit out of Vicente Luque. First fucking knockout stoppage in Vicente's career. I'm not trying to diminish that in any way, shape, or form. But, and I mean Sir Mix-a-Lot size, we like him big. But KO is not the whole story. Very much like that Muhammad fight. It's how we get there that changes things a little bit. And again, this wasn't as drastic. I don't want to say it was as drastic as that Muhammad fight by any stretch. But this to me was more about Vicente not doing what he should have done, or not doing what we've seen him capable of doing, than it was about Jeff doing what he did, aside from that 8 uppercut in a row combo. That was fucking spectacular. But no, Jeff Neal moves on. Vicente Luque drops again back into that inconsistent hit and miss fucking pattern that he was in before he made that run. And really, I think my biggest concern here is that we saw Vicente Luque come off the Ultimate Fighter and go hit and miss, and just stay in that rut until he got on that roll. Nobody really gave too much of a fuck because of his inconsistency. And now we're at a point where he genuinely might be falling back into that inconsistent rut. I'm wondering, is this maybe something that he's going to be able to mentally handle, or is this because of something that he's not mentally handling properly? Because that didn't look like the Vicente Luque we've seen in any other fight last night.
Yeah, after Neal got that win, I think that was the best call out of the night. Called out Vicente's buddy, Gilbert Burns, because of the Masvidal and Colby Covington situation, their legal bullshit. Masvidal's probably not going to be able to fight Burns. Burns has been calling for a fight for a while. That'd be a good fight for them to set up.
Yeah, I agree.
It'd be a good actual test for Neal, because Neal did look pretty sharp with his boxing. So Gilbert Burns, he's going to be in that right mindset. We just saw what he did with that fight at Hamzat earlier this year. That's going to be a hell of a test for Jeff Neal to see what he's really fucking made of. So,
yeah, no, I think this is the point where we match up. I think Gilbert Burns is the right call, because I get that Masvidal is being real fucking loud right now, but Masvidal is also being real loud about Conor McGregor, and Conor still isn't even in fucking USADA testing pool anymore. So we've got a whole nother story to talk about Conor, but we're going to save that for another fucking day. So Masvidal is literally talking out both sides of his asshole right now. I don't give a fuck what he's calling.
Yeah, I mean, he keeps talking about the wanting a fighter. He's wanting to fight Conor and all this shit, but he's actually admitted he can't take a fight right now because of the legal shit. Until him and fucking Colby get done in court, he can't take a fight. He's admitted that. He's admitted his legal issues are keeping me from taking a fight. I can't do it until we're done with the court shit. So it's like, so why are you even fucking talking? Same with Conor. Conor ain't even fucking, yeah, like you said, ain't even in the USADA pool. Why are you even talking?
Yeah, I think Luque needs to go back to the fucking drawing board. And I think Jeff Neal goes on to fight Gilbert Burns. And See, the problem comes into play for me, at least, is that Gilbert Burns is still number 2, I believe. So in the unlikely event Jeff Neal just fucking comes out and steamrolls Gilbert Burns, Jeff Neal just stumbled face first into a title shot. And I get that part of that is because we've got guys like Gilbert Burns and fucking Marty from Nebraska, or not Marty, but fucking Colby rather, and fucking Masvidal clogging up the top of the fucking listings up there. But like, it just feels like it's bittersweet, because on one hand, Jeff Neal's one of those dudes that's been around for a while. So if he's going to get a shot, he needs to get it soon. On the other hand, it's almost like a bizarro Glover situation, because Glover was the dude who had been around for a while, but he beat the shit out of everyone consistently to get that fucking title shot. And Jeff Neal, even though he looked fucking good against Vicente last night, didn't look great, and he hasn't looked that great consistently. So I feel like if he trips over his dick into a title shot off of this, that's going to end badly. Even if it's just against fucking Kamaru, I feel like it's going to end badly. Like, Neal just isn't quite there yet, but because of the way everything is so weird and tied up right now, he could potentially trip and one fight himself into a fucking title shot. I don't know. I just don't know. That being said, though, that'll bring us to the meat and potatoes of this particular card and recap section here. Thiago Santos versus Jamal Hill. Man, everybody that I have talked to recently pretty much agrees Thiago Santos is on borrowed time right now. And he's pretty much on that borrowed time because of what he did against John Jones. Because realistically, nothing he has done in the cage since that John Jones fight warrants him being held in as high esteem by the UFC as he is, both in terms of like rankings and in terms of favoritism to get him this fucking fight to begin with as a main event. He was definitely a little off last night. Not completely washed. He's not Sam Alvey bad yet, but he's not even a fucking shadow of the guy that gave John Jones the fucking business for 25 minutes. Jamal Hill looked pretty goddamn good. He was a little sloppy. He had fucked around a little bit early on. There was a little hesitancy. There's still a couple of rough edges he's got to work on, but he's definitely getting better, and I'm very happy to see he is still making progress. My biggest problem with this fight was that when he got Santos stopped, his immediate call out was Yuri Prohaska. This is another one of those situations, like, again, I'll tip my fucking cap to Jamal, and I called Jamal winning that fucking fight. Like, he did good. But what he did, A, doesn't warrant him jumping over guys like Jan Blachowicz and Glover Teixeira. And B, what? You beat number 6 and you're calling for a title shot? Come on, Jamal. Come on, man.
He tried pulling some MMA math out, right? Because Thiago Santos beat Anthony Smith. Anthony Smith being ranked like 5. So he was like, "Oh, that should put me in the top 5, right?" So that, I mean, the argument's there a little bit, just because I don't think Jan should be in the title shot after the injury to Rakic. I don't think Magomed, should be in the title shot because of what just happened with Anthony Smith. The top is muddy. It should be the Glover and Yuri rematch. We'll see how that goes, right? And then you have to match some of those other dudes in the top 5 against each other.
Yeah, let some of those other guys fight each other for fuck's sake.
So
like
Jamal
it really
should
feels
have
like the whole top 10 is calling for the title shot. Like none of the top 10 want to fight each other.
Jan or Magomed.
Yeah,
those would have been good ones because
I'd be cool
those
with either
two
one of
will
those.
probably fight each other. Like if Glover and Yuri get the rematch, they're probably going to try to pin Jan and Magomed together anyway. So he should have called for one of them. Split that matchup up and try to jump yourself up in
smart
that.
Money for damn sure, yeah.
Because like you're saying, with him trying to shoot yourself all the way to the title, you kind of waste your call out. So now that's probably going to be the matchups that get made before the end of the year's up. They're going to make the Glover and Yuri rematch. They'll probably put it on MSG since they already got Alex Pereira and fucking Adesanya as the main event. And if they do set that up, they're probably going to set Magomed and Jan up because Jan's wanting to fight again soon, and Magomed didn't take much damage from the Anthony Smith fight. That'll probably get set up at the end of the year. So then what does that leave for Curtis Blades? Well, no, Curtis Blades heavyweight. Fuck, I just fucked up. So what does that leave, in light heavyweight? Anthony Smith is going to be out for potentially the next 9 months, maybe a year, because he just had surgery on his leg. So who else is in the top 5? There's nobody, right?
Nope. Because the only other one is Rakic, who just hurt his leg and is out.
Yeah. So then he's boned because he just fucked up the call out instead of
fucked himself
trying to push for Jan or Magomed, the only two dudes that are going to be open.
Yeah. Because the only other two people who aren't prospectively locked up ahead of him are Anthony Smith, who just got his fucking leg broken, had surgery, and Alexander Rakic, who hurt his fucking leg and just had fucking surgery. Neither one of them are coming back in this year. I don't think either one of those two step foot in the
From what I've heard, Rakic is on a good pace to come back, but it's still going to be early next year.
Yeah, he's talking about maybe if everything goes well, he might be able to come back for the last card of December, and that's with everything going prospectively good. I ain't holding my fucking breath on that. As somebody who's ongoing, actively recovering from knee surgery myself right now, I ain't holding my fucking
ACL,
breath because it looks good.
More likely not.
I'm dealing with bucket handle meniscus, MCL, ACL surgery on my fucking knee right now. So I completely understand what all these guys are going through. And as someone who has had the setbacks of a regular fucking healing process, I'm not going to fucking bank on him hoping to come back in December because it looks good. Sorry, fella. Knees don't work like that. I wish him the best. I hope it heals quick as shit. But as someone who's dealing with it actively, I ain't putting my fucking eggs in that basket. No, that was a wasted call. Right. He should have called Ankalaev.
Looks great, but he kind of wasted the call there because now they're probably going to.
I think Ankalaev would have been the move because I feel like Yuri and Jan or Yuri and Glover, those three, I feel like are off the table. One of those two matches are getting made. So I feel like if he was smart, Ankalaev's the odd man out. He's not guaranteed in that conversation either way. He's still hoping. Ankalaev would have been the move. It would have been the call out. But
now he put himself in the situation if he wants to fight again this year, that he's going to have to go down. He's going to have to take somebody that's below him, and that's not going to help you get anywhere closer to the title. It's just
MMA is one of those weird sports where it's one of the only ones where shooting for the moon actually is a bad thing. Like you're encouraged and almost like reprimanded if you don't aim in your fucking lane. If you shoot too high, it almost is detrimental to you. Whereas like if you get, the fucking Chiefs coming out in fucking August in training camp are talking about we're going to win the fucking Super Bowl this year. And everybody's like, fuck yeah, we're going to win the Super Bowl this year. Whereas if Juliana Miller comes in tomorrow and says, I want to fuck Carla Esparza in the ass and take the belt from her, she's going to get her UFC contract taken away. Like it doesn't work the same in this sport. Like you can't go too crazy by aiming too high like that. It actually is detrimental. So I feel like Jamal Hill might have hit that point last night. He might have tipped his rifle back a little too fucking far and wasted a shot. So we'll see. Like we say all the time, stranger things have happened in the fucking UFC. So we'll see. But I don't think that's going to play out for him the way that he thought it was going to. Fucking bonuses, man. They can't ever just be fucking consistent with bonuses. We were so close to just doing it right. And then at the same time, if ever there was a card that you give all the finishers the fucking bonus, it's the one where every fight on the fucking card gets a finish, Dana. Not London because your fucking Scousers got drunk and got everybody rowdy. It's the one that set fucking history. But no. Not only does he not give all the finishers a fucking bonus, the ones that he does give out are fucking ridiculous. Fight of the night. Santos versus Hill. Not Neil versus Luque. Not the harder fought battle. The main event. Okay, sure. We'll fucking go with that. Performance of the night. Not the history-making girl who did the first fucking Von Flue choke by a lady in the UFC. No, fuck that. Not the controversial tap that she knew she felt the fucking tap, got the judges involved to verify, to open the fucking card and get everything crazy. No, why would we do that? The Sam Alvey fight, Alexi Jack, who just sent that dude to the fucking meat grinder, half ready done. No, I want to incite Polish enthusiasm. Who do we give the bonuses to? Muhammad Usman for the fucking lucky left. Brian Battle for the head kick out of nowhere. And Jeff Neal for wearing down Vicente Luque. We can't give him fight of the night, but you give him performance of the night? Because that was one-sided? Really, Dana? Really? Fucking cocksmoker. Dana White bothers me sometimes. With that being said, this is a recap show. And there's more to recap this week than just the shit that popped off last night. That's the shit that I'm fucking rabid about. But that's because that's what I pay the most attention to. There is other shit that happened this week that I just didn't get a chance to pay attention to that does warrant being talked about. So I'm going to ask Brother Christian here to give you guys a little rundown of some other things that popped this week.
So, just trying to introduce the contender series into this conversation. We actually had an exciting week last week. The first week of this season was just absolutely boring as all fucking hell. Dana got in their ass, even gave them the pre-fight speech, pulled them all in the back this week, told them, this is it. This is your fucking chance. Go out there and give it everything you fucking got. And most of them did. There was only one fight. It was kind of similar to this card that we just saw last night. Every fight wound up in a finish except for one. One fight went to decision. It was kind of a good war of a fight. It was Francis Marshall fighting Connor Matthews. I know Matthews had to go to the hospital right after the fight. He got all busted up. But Francis Marshall definitely looked fucking good. Even though it was a back and forth, decision. I think both of them could have gotten a contract, but Dana's not trying to be too like you just said with the bonuses here. He's not being too giving here in the past month or so, but he was giving earlier on in the year. We had a nice heavyweight matchup. Waldo Casas. Yeah, Waldo Cortez Acosta. Yeah, he won by a fucking knockout. Wasn't the great. It was similar to the Muhammad Usman Zach Pauga fight. It wasn't nothing super special. It was kind of a walrus fight. That's why I'm bringing up these ones first. They were the less exciting fights, but still there was some to be had for amateurs, right? And when you're getting amateurs, when you're getting rookies, at least we actually got that. Everybody gave it their all, and we got some bit of excitement there. But this Cortez Acosta, I don't know what like you said, the heavyweights get more exciting, but there's a lot of work to be done there. Yeah, he could do a lot more with his striking, even though he had the knockout power. It's kind of similar to Muhammad Usman. You didn't really do anything the entire fight until you got your lucky punch in. Acosta kind of got his ass beat for the first round of the fight, and then he wound up getting a lucky punch in. So, the one guy, the huge underdog, he was like a plus 400 underdog on this card last weekend. And Vinicius Salvador wound up fucking getting a victory. He got a TKO finish in the second round. So he beat the hell out of Shannon Ross. And Shannon Ross, he was the one being talked about. I think Charlie Campbell and Shannon Ross were talked about a lot going into this week. Anybody that knew anything about this or was interested in the Contender Series, right? So it was a big surprise of the night. And he wound up getting the fucking contract. So it was cool. I always love seeing a fucking underdog win. And he put an absolute fucking beat down on the dude. You're plus 400 underdog and made the dude look like he had no business fucking being there at all. So that was enjoyable. It started off, the whole night started off one of the greatest comebacks we've seen in a while. Billy Goff fucking coming back against Smart Risky. Oh God, I can't ever fucking pronounce these Russian names. The Russian names are always the hardest. But he had a huge comeback. I mean, Billy Goff was almost fucking put out there in the first round, and then came back, just like a fire lit under him. He literally was wobbly legs and just comes back, gets through a few shots in, and turns up the combo and fucking gets the finish himself. And then after the fact, was very upset. And even, first round finish, you get the contract, and the whole rest of the night telling Lorosenko how he's pissed off at himself because he let himself, like he got his ass whooped. It doesn't matter if he wound up coming back and getting the finish. He was pissed off. He let himself get his ass whooped. So I liked hearing that, right? Like a dude come back, get the finish. You see that heart and the ability there, and then you just say something like that. So looking out for Billy Goff. We had a lot of finishes last week in Billy Goff and then Chris Duncan. I also want to say this. I was the most excited about Charlie Campbell looking into last week's Contender Series. And Charlie Campbell looked fantastic going to this first round. It was just piecing Chris Duncan up and almost put him out. And the same exact situation. The night started the same way that it ended with the Contender Series. A dude almost getting put to sleep and just coming back and getting his own lucky shot. Fucking Duncan was literally about to go down, and Campbell's putting it on him, and he just pops back up, cracks him with a shot, and just laid Campbell out, similar to what happened with Zach Pauga just last night. He was laid out, and then Duncan just came in for a couple hammer fists. That's what really put him the fuck to sleep. And Campbell, it took a good 3 minutes or so before he got up. It took a while before he stood up. So the Scott got it done. Those are the two dudes I'm really looking forward to. It was nice to see Vinicius Salvador, the huge underdog, get a contract, but the guy Billy Goff and Chris Duncan, those will be good guys to look at. And Charlie Campbell, hopefully we'll see him come. He did look pretty good, so maybe we'll see him come back, get a second opportunity. But that's a recap of last week. This week, a little bit excited. I know because we won't get to talk about it. Thursday, we'll be recapping it. We've got Bo Nickel, obviously. Huge excitement there. Only the one professional fight. He had a couple amateur fights. I think all finishes. He's got out of his amateur fights, he had one submission and he had the one knockout. And then he got the first round knockout in his first pro fight with Icon FC earlier on in the year. So obviously, fucking one of the greatest pro wrestlers of all time. Well, let's say pro, but college wrestler, pro wrestler, because he won gold in the NCAA championships, his last 3 years of college, and then he won the national championship, gold national championships, and gold in the world championships, freestyle wrestling. So the dude's an amazing wrestler.
I believe he stands as the single highest decorated collegiate wrestler currently.
Yeah.
There's a couple guys that are hot on his trail. I say that loosely because he's still got like 100 fucking matches difference between them and him. But yeah, there's a couple guys that are chasing his record, I should say. But I believe he holds the record for the legitimate single highest fucking accredited collegiate wrestler in existence right now.
But like we were talking about earlier, similar to Juliana Miller, we could see this with Bo Nickel. I mean, they're giving him a decent test. Zachary Baraggio, who he's 3-0 in his professional career. He's got a couple knockouts, a decision win in his last fight. But the fact that they're giving him a guy that's undefeated in his pro career, had a few fights, and Bo Nickel's just had the one, and this guy's got some knockout power. They're also the the main event, right? They're the headliner of the Contender Series here. So they are already you already know the UFC wanted Bo Nickel beforehand, but they're trying to actually get him to prove himself a little bit. But the same situation that we were talking about with Juliana Miller, this would be his second pro fight, and to see the hype and everything that the UFC is going to put behind him, it was going to be crazy. But I think a lot more warranted with Bo Nickal. Bo Nickal's a hell of a lot different prospect than a Juliana Miller. Probably a lot more warranted, the hype that's going to go behind this. But obviously, that's the biggest excitement. I do have a couple other pieces. That we do have a ladies fight. This will be the first ladies fight on the Contender Series this season. We got Karolina Wojcik versus Sandra Lovato, and Lovato is a submission specialist. So we could see a crazy first round finish from a lady fighting. I think they're straw weights too. So there's some excitement there. Maybe a nice up and coming straw weight prospect. Clayton Carpenter. I'm kind of excited about this guy. Don't know if you know anything about him. He's got a couple knockouts and a couple submissions in his last 5 fights. He's undefeated. He's 5-0 in his pro career. He's fighting what I think is somewhat of a tan, Edgar Chariez. He's 8-3. He doesn't have really any finishes in his career, just a couple of them. So Clayton Carpenter is probably going to go out there and I would think get a first round finish and make himself look good. So it'll be one of those up and coming guys to potentially look at. And then we got a decent heavyweight fight with Paulo Renato Jr. versus Jamal Pagus. Renato Jr. has 4 knockouts and a submission in his last 5 fights at heavyweight. So I like the little submission in there, on top of the fact that, a lot of knockouts.
Keeps it interesting.
Maybe we'll see some
submission
decent prospects come out of this weekend. Hopefully we get to keep that train rolling that we had last week on the Contender Series, and then just last night, just keep the finishes going. That's the thing that makes the Contender Series the most entertaining. A lot of us are busy during the week. We've got work and a whole bunch of shit. So if you get the time fucking Tuesday night to actually watch those fights, there's only 5 of them. You want the shit to be exciting. They're rookies. There's not a lot to ever expect out of it. That's exactly what you want to see, those first round finishes. We got them last weekend. Hopefully we'll get to see some this weekend. If Bo Nickal gets one, we'll have something exciting to talk about on Thursdays.
Yeah, I will say they definitely fucking stack tomorrow night, Tuesday night this week, real fucking heavy for sure. I had actually seen a clip, I think it was 2 weeks ago, of Karolina Wojcik leading into that fucking fight confirmation.
Yeah, she is tough as fuck. I wanted to mention that too.
Fucking gal, man. Like I obviously I know who the fuck Bo Nickal is. We've been screaming about Bo Nickal on this show for 3 years. Legitimately, we've been screaming about Bo Nickal for a minute on this show, so we know him. But I had actually seen that clip from Karolina a couple weeks ago as well. So the fact that it's the first ladies coming through.
Yeah, I wanted to throw that out there. Lovato is that submission specialist. She's got a lot of subs in her pro career so far, but Wojcik is a tough son of a bitch. She's got a lot of decisions. She hasn't had a lot of those finishes. So, I mean, it's just that factor with the Contender Series. You want to see them go out and get a finish. Dana wants to see the same thing. But she is a tough fucking chick. You got that Polish background.
That Polish valor, man.
Yep. So we might get to see her get one of those finishes, and turn that tide around, So.
Never fucking know. Never fucking know. But that being said, that is what we've got for this particular What Did I Say episode. Thank you very much for everyone who tuned in, whether you are catching this live with us Sunday nights, 9:30-ish Central Time here on the I'm No Joe YouTube channel, or you're catching it on replay here on I'm No Joe on YouTube, because the bonus shows like What Did I Say show and stuff like that do not go to all audio. You got to come see these on YouTube. They're up there forever, but you got to see them on YouTube. That being said, the regular Thursday night I'm No Joe podcast do air Thursday nights 9:30 p.m. ish Central Time. Thursday nights on the I'm No Joe YouTube channel. YouTube.com/I'm No Joe live every Thursday. Those, however, do go up in all audio format over on anchor.fm/I'm No Joe a week after they air over on YouTube. So if you just need to listen to some good background noise, we got you covered over there as well. That being said, if you like what we do around here, make sure you are subscribed to whatever platform you are consuming the I'm No Joe podcast on. If you like what we do, make sure you've got a thumbs up on there. We appreciate that. If you don't like what we do, first and foremost, why the fuck are you still this deep into a podcast you don't like? Give us a thumbs down and fuck off. We won't even dispute it. That being said, if you really want to help, patreon.com/I'm No Joe is the best way to do it. For as little as $1 a month, you get your name added to the thank you roll at every video that comes across the channel, and you get access to the behind the scenes, the unaired and literally unairable shit, things that we can't put out to the general public. We just can't. And I will say this, I've forgotten, but I'm starting to remember more often now. The I'm No Joe podcast is the only podcast that I am aware of that literally has been kicked off of OnlyFans for being too spicy. Patreon, on the other hand, doesn't give a fuck. So all that heat that OnlyFans couldn't handle, we brought it to Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you can get in on the shenanigans. Helps us out, gives you some entertainment. That being said, that's all we've got for this particular episode. Thank you again for tuning in. Remember, boys and girls, don't forget, you can root for anything. Don't let ignorance stop you.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. How do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times